Okay, so let's start with today's meeting. It's about the rules and regulations regarding the real estate advertising from RECA, as well as how our policies and stuff are for it. Um, let's first of all understand what is an advertising. So as per RECA or any other language, any activity, a public notice or representation by an industry professional which is made so that someone on their behalf promotes an industry professional or their services will be considered as an advertising. Even your business card, your Facebook, social media, your printed material, TV, newspaper, whatever it is, they will all fall under the advertising um, meaning of that advertising. So whenever you are trying to communicate what you do, the services you provide to anyone else through any media, basically will be considered an advertising. And the rules and regulations and guidelines have to be looked into so that you are not kind of jeopardizing anything here or putting public in a misleading situation or your misrepresentation. So we will go over this. Few samples. What does advertising include? So basically, I mean, if you understand the meaning of the advertising, try to see that everything which you have put your name and your services on and it goes to the public will be advertising. All promotional events, websites, even printed material, your business cards for that matter, social media, bench signs, fax cover sheets, even when you send an email to someone and you have a email signature at the bottom, where you're representing yourself as a realtor or a real estate service professional, kind of becomes an advertising, because if someone looks at that email signature and tries to figure out what your designation or profession or your services are, it could very well fall into, if not done properly, fall into misleading or misrepresentation. RECA and other self-regulated industry always emphasizes on that advertising definitely should not be false or misleading. For example, what you're looking at here on this example, this is from a licensed mortgage broker. She is shown or pictured with her unlicensed assistant, but it nowhere specifies that the assistant or the other person on this is unlicensed. So technically, this kind of becomes misleading. You're trying to promote as if you are probably a team, but the other person is not even licensed. They are unlicensed. Similarly, when someone is advertising you are a condo specialist, area specialist, you have been the top performer or you are the top performer. If you cannot verify that, then you are technically misleading people. If you have taken, for example, the condo specialist course, you feel confident and you have something which you can prove that you are a condo specialist, then go ahead, advertise it. Otherwise, just because you have sold a couple of condos or you probably are a little more comfortable or confident selling the condos does not make you condo specialist. Similarly with area specialist, and this sometimes happens, you might have come across some sort of banners or some sort of sometimes bus benches and stuff. I'm the area specialist of this. So if someone calls that realtor and wants to find out how do you call yourself an area specialist, they should be able to prove themselves. So those kind of things can very easily fall into the false or misleading advertising. Real estate advertising, whenever you do, keep this thing in mind. If you are putting some sort of a incentive on it, make sure that is an incentive. It should be done on the behalf of the brokerage, number one. Secondly, just make sure if that is an incentive, it is an incentive. It is not an inducement. Don't try to, by chance, put yourself in a situation where you do not realize that you are actually promoting an inducement. So be very careful there. In plain English, the difference between an incentive and inducement. Inducement is when you are trying to tempt someone into doing something wrong to close a deal. You know, you are at the point where you're trying to make the deal happen. Now, no one is coming closer or something like that, and you throw in a wrench there, saying, "Okay, you know, if you do this, if you do close this deal, then I'll do this for you." It could be a cash and cash service, or it could be something else. Now that falls under inducement. You know, the same thing, similar thing could have been a little bit different if it was offered right in the beginning. For example, you going to someone and say, you know what, if you use my services right up front, even before they have agreed to work with you, and if they say, if you tell them that, you know what, if it works out, I do pay legal fees for my clients, you know, those kind of things. So they have made a decision right in the beginning to work with you because you gave this incentive to them. That is fine. But doing this at the end, when you want to close this deal, will suddenly take it into the inducement section. So you have to be very careful in your advertising, what you're advertising. It's always suggested, if you want to do any such sort of advertising, just send the sample to me. Just email it to me or to conveyance department. We are very good in getting back to you by telling you, okay, if it is acceptable or not. You know, so just take that extra step and do that. And we will let you know. Your name, how it appears on your advertising. So keep it in mind, RECA, in your username, in your RECA account, once you log in, there is a section where you can apply for also known as AKA names. And RECA can give you the approval or disapprove it depending upon if it is misleading again, or if it is something which is being already used, might conflict, or if it is a derivative of your name, it is very easily approved. So if you want to use any AKAs, please get the RECA approval. They have been very good with this. They come back to you, they reply to you very, very fast if it is doable or not. Once you have the approval, go ahead and you can use this on your advertising. But before you get the approval, please don't spend money on advertising with your AKA names or your team names, stuff like that, if it has not been approved. With team names, we will discuss it a little further down the slides. What do we mean by team names? With the new rules coming up, the team names have to be in a certain specific way. So you have to be careful there before you put money out for advertising. Just get the team names looked into. Like I said, we will be covering over those names in a few after a few slides. But again, sending me an email and getting an approval is also a good idea. So do not put your AKA names, or for example, in this example you're looking at it, a deal maker to get your house sold. So deal maker, you know, Maggie has been, although her name is different, probably Margaret, Maggie has been approved, or maybe not as it appears on the license. The Maggie has been approved as an AKA, but not the deal maker. So don't fall into this kind of a trap. This I haven't seen too much, but I mean, it can happen. Whichever advertising you're using, whichever media you are using, wherever your name is appearing along with your designation, the brokerage name has to be shown right adjacent to it. So a little bit of update on these rules is, this was always the case, you know, that if you are putting your name, Sunny Parmar, and your realtor, you know, your designation is there, so you had to put the brokerage name to show the public that you are a realtor with which brokerage. And now they have tweaked it a little bit, saying that the name of the brokerage or the logo of the brokerage should be adjacent to your name. on the same side. For example, if it's a business card, think it's a little bit of an overkill on their side, but so far this is what RECA, meaning RECA, is trying us to understand, that if you're putting your name, your brokerage name or the logo should be same size, and it should be adjacent to it, so that the member of the public does not have to dig out or look for the name of the brokerage somewhere else, kind of thing. That is one part. We will discuss it a little bit more again in a few slides down the road as well. Be very careful in making a statement whenever you are advertising. Again, it might fall into misleading or dishonest ones. For example, here, the over 100 homes sold in this neighborhood. Now, this person is probably a neighborhood expert, but the 100 homes sold were not by him, but were from the brokerage, total in the brokerage. Therefore, this will fall under misleading. Income, like on the second sample on this screen, Maria Guzman, income property mortgage expert, 15 years experience. Sometimes this also happens if you have a team of few people, or if you're 2 or 3 people working together. You cannot add everyone's experience together and say, okay, this is total experience. You cannot use this in advertisement. And again, here it says income property mortgage expert. Might put her into that gray area where she might have to prove what her experience is in income properties, and how she can prove that she is an expert in this kind of a scenario. These are a little vague, samples here, or the statements made by the realtors, but these are a little more common than a few other ones. So just be careful when you are advertising, or if you want to promote yourself, or sometimes as a brokerage too. I mean, we will never do this from a brokerage perspective just to get more realtors hired and stuff like that, but it will fall under things saying our brokerage sells more houses than anyone else. How do you prove it? This is absolutely wrong statement. This claim is wrong. I am familiar with few other brokerages which advertise this, and they have been penalized by RECA for doing these kind of things. Where it was a franchise company, and they are trying to show that they sell the most homes. And you have to be careful whether it is the whole franchise selling it or that office selling it. The second example here, we will sell your home faster and for more money than anyone else. You cannot verify this. It's very, very hard, almost impossible for a consumer to verify this statement, these kind of claims. Third one, I'm working with 400 buyers who want to buy your home. Don't fall into these kind of traps, putting these kind of things on advertising. If you send us the sample, I will let you know right away that this is not going to work. This is not going to fly. This is not acceptable. Social media. Social media is becoming more and more popular. A lot of people are using it without realizing that they can actually fall into a lot of trap here if they don't do it properly. Your profile pages on social media, for example, Facebook and all, if you have not, the same rules which we discussed earlier, if you have not put clearly your brokerage name, as the name, which is your license name, if you're putting the AKA, if it has not been approved by RECA, if you are in a team and if the team name is not put on it properly with at least one licensed professional on that team's name as well, then you are asking for trouble. It is something which is, which can fall under misleading, and definitely RECA will look into it and say, here's a good little money-making tool here. So best practice, wherever possible, please include your brokerage in username and use the banner image that includes your name or your brokerage name. Post, whenever similarly after the profile page, if you're posting, it definitely needs to include the brokerage name. And like we have seen in the previous examples, please try not to make posts like I am the area expert and all those kind of things, and we sell, I have buyers, I have more buyers for your house, all those kind of things. They can land you in trouble. If you look at the bottom line here, it says, in other words, if a consumer can act upon your post in a way that furthers your business as an industry professional, include your brokerage in that post. For instance, if a consumer can contact you directly from that post, or visit an open house or listing, if you have advertised with the property address in the post, include your brokerage. If your post is simply informational and requires another click to get to any relevant information about your business, then you don't require your brokerage in that post. All these things are on the RECA website as well. When I will send you this video to everyone, I will also include the URL for that page, which RECA is trying to elaborate more on these kind of things, of the guidelines which are already there and on the updates which are coming up. If you're using multimedia and digital ads, videos and stuff like that, must include, again, the brokerage clearly indicated. And if you're an individual and choose to include a name or personal brand, you must include your name as it appears on your license. If you're a team, you must include the name of at least one licensed team member. So if it's a Sunny Parmar Realty team, then on that advertising, if I have mentioned Sunny Parmar Realty team, I should also have at least name of at least one licensed team member. So Sunny Parmar Realty team, then underneath I can put Urban Realty and then have Sunny Parmar Realtor or team leader / realtor with it, so that as a public you can distinguish what is the team, who you're contacting in the team, and which brokerage it belongs to. So sometimes the brokerage name or the real estate team name can be confusing and can be recognized by the consumer as whether it's a brokerage or not. Any paid digital advertising, including boosted social media posts, must have your brokerage name clearly indicated. And if you are an individual and choose to include a name or personal brand, you must include your name the way it is on your license. And again, if you are a team, you must include the name of at least one licensed team member. Couple of examples here. If you're looking at the Facebook landing page on the left, it says it meets requirements. It's because the individual's license name, if you look here, Catherine James, and the brokerage name is adjacent to it, GR or Genuine Realty Group. So the logo and stuff is right next to each other. They are clearly identified and they appear in the banner. Does not meet a requirement. If you look at the difference here, this portion, the logo and the brokerage name is missing. So these kind of things can land you in trouble with RECA, especially, I mean, they are right now, but especially after October 1st. So get familiar. If you need to tweak, change your Facebook pages and stuff like that, please get going and start working on this. You don't have to wait for that period of time. If you are doing posts, the example here is on the left. If you look at it, this post will not be considered as a call to action because it is just talking about 5 tips for decorating your first home. Therefore, in this post, the brokerage name does not need to appear in the post because you're talking to the person here, a group of people here on an informational basis. Now here, it is a call to action post, just listed with the address and property and stuff like that. So if you look here, the realty or brokerage name is right next to it. So these kind of things, just be careful with these. Not much is going to change. They are emphasizing a little more on the logo size, how the teams are clearly indicated in these updates, which are coming as of October 1st. Get yourself familiar with it. I will be sending the RECA link as well, but just get yourself familiar with it. So what does clearly indicated mean? So the clearly indicated now would mean the brokerage name must be similar in size or larger than other identifiers. So if you are putting your name, your team name, or a slogan and stuff like that, so whichever is the identifier on that advertising, and if that is the size of that identifier, the font size, the text size, the picture size, whatever it is, the brokerage name must be the similar size or larger. One thing I would suggest to all my realtors here is that we do have a logo which has our brokerage name built into it. So if you are going to use your name or real estate team name or stuff like that for whatever size, our logo can very easily be put of that size. You don't have to repeat the name again for the brokerage. If using our logo correctly, then the name of the brokerage appears into it. So it will take that confusion away from public's mind. And if it is a realty team, the name of at least one licensed team member should appear on that team advertising. So keep these things in mind. They have specifically prohibited some words if you are in a team. So the prohibited terms include agency, associates, brokerage, brokers, company, corporation, corp, inc., ltd. What this means is these prohibited words are the words or the terms which you cannot use in your realty team's name. You cannot put Sunny Parmar Agency or Sunny's Agency or Sunny and Associates, Sunny's Brokerage, Blue Brokerage or something like that in a team name. As a brokerage, it's fine, but if you're using a team name, then your team name cannot include these words or terms. The exceptions given to you are like mortgages, mortgage, real estate, and realty. And the exception is only allowed if you use these with either team or a group followed immediately. So for example, Sunny Parmar Mortgages team or group, then you can use mortgages or real estate. So if I'm using, ABC real estate, it has to follow by team or a group. You cannot have a team name ABC real estate. You can have it by saying ABC real estate team or ABC real estate group, so that it distinguishes it from the brokerage name. So all those realtors which already have a realty teams or team and they have a name which might be a conflict, now is the time. If you want to keep the same name, add a team or a group next to it. It's not going to make much of a change. But if you are ready to rename it, or if you are ready to start a new team with a name which you want to keep right now, so make sure these rules are followed right from the beginning, especially if you are going to spend a lot of money on advertising on a media which you might have to sign up a contract. For example, if you want to put bus benches up and you want to sign a 1-year contract, so it's going to go over October 1st of this year. So don't fall into something which will last you after these things have, these rules have come into effect and you are still in conflict of those rules. You will end up spending a lot of money, which you will have to redo everything, all that hassle and stuff. So please kindly make sure all these rules are followed before you go ahead and pay someone the money to do something which might be in a conflict. RECA thinks that consumer protection will be followed if we follow these rules. Definitely in certain points it will. Some of them are definitely an overkill, which we are working as brokers, but again, they are the regulating authority. If they have made a rule, so till it gets changed, it is a rule. So if we don't follow it, we will be breaking the rule. So in their minds, the consumer must be able to clearly understand the role of the brokerage, the role of the brokerage representative, or the role of the team. So as a consumer, if you look at the advertisement, they should be able to make out who the realtor is, who the brokerage is, and if there is a team involved, who the team is and who they are working with. So they should not think that, okay, they are working with a team, whereas it is actually the brokerage name. So there should be no confusion. This is the website if you want to note down. I have put it here as well. But like I said, I will be sending you the video, as well as in that email, I would include these URLs and other materials so that you can go directly to that source as well. And just get yourself familiar. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I will reply to you personally as well. What I'm thinking is we will do one session without the presentation, just for questions and answers, like a chat between all the groups. Sometimes it becomes a little overwhelming for me to go over the presentation and look at the questions and answer them as well. So try to get familiar with this video, try to get familiar with this topic, and then I will send you an email, and we'll set up a time where we can actually chat. But you are more than welcome to send me an email personally as well about if you have any questions. This is where probably we will be stopping today's meeting. Thanks everyone for joining, and please feel free to email me and watch this video when I send you. Thank you.